They've killed Kenny! You
Kenny McCormick, the iconic character from the hit animated series South Park, is known for his unfortunate fate of dying in almost every episode. Despite his untimely demises, fans and friends alike have come to love and adore this beloved character. But let's face it, we're all secretly waiting for the next time Kenny gets its unfortunate end. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at the top 25 most gruesome deaths of Kenny McCormick in South Park. But before we start, welcome to Checkunitiedtie, where we talk about the darkest things in your favorite cartoons. So make sure you subscribe for more videos like this.
We've just received word that Kenny McCormick has passed away.
Number 25. Kenny gets crushed by a piano.
Ballistic medicine is gonna kill my friend.
In Season 4, Episode 6, Cherokee Hair Tampons, Kenny was watching Stan complain about losing his best friend. And then Kenny is tragically crushed by a piano, dropped from the second story of a building by a town. But just before Kenny walked off, he said Cartman's famous line, "Screw you guys, I'm going home."
Look out!
This is just one of the many examples of Kenny being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Medicine is gonna kill my friend.
Number 24. Run over by a train.
Hold on, Kenny!
This episode, Kenny was trying to get the go-kart going for him, Kyle, and Stan to ride. In his attempts to get the go-kart going, he finally did, but when he least expected it. The cart dragged him around the streets before it came to an abrupt stop on some railroad tracks. Just when Kyle and Stan thought Kenny had survived the sneak attack, he was hit by a train and bursting his body in the process.
Oh my god! They've killed Kenny!
Number 23. Burnt to a crisp.
Holy shit, dude! Oh my god! Ah, shit! Ah, shit! Help! Somebody!
After Cartman bets Kenny that he couldn't light a fart on fire, Kenny was eager to prove him wrong.
$100 you can't light a fart on fire!
And well, although he did prove him wrong, he also set himself on fire in the process. And if that wasn't enough, not only was he beat with a stick by Cartman in an attempt to stop the fire, but the ambulance was forced out of the way by a Russell salt truck that poured salt all over Kenny. But the pain doesn't even end there. Although Kenny was burnt to a crisp, he was saved until he found out he had a potato for a heart and had about 3 seconds to live before his body exploded all over the room, guts flying everywhere.
Great. Son, I have some bad news. We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato. You have about 3 seconds to live.
Talk about a rough start. Number 22. Eaten by rats. Never really been a fan of rats, and this scene here only makes me not like them even more. While Kenny, Cartman, Kyle, and Stan were outside after Kenny had played a good game of Chin Pokemon, Cartman was smacking rats off his friend, screaming,
Yo, get off, you stupid rats! He's not dead yet!
"If that's not terrible enough, what do you mean yet? Is Cartman aware of Kenny's many fates?" The scene ends with Kenny's body busting open and rats swarming out after eating his insides. His friends then laugh, which only adds insult to his death. Number 21. Trampled by cows in the police car. When the UFO is going to war with the boys, it will never end well for Kenny, and they knew that from the very beginning. This here is Kenny's first ever death, and the first time we ever heard this phrase here.
Oh my god! They've killed Kenny! You bastards!
In this episode, they toss something from their flying disc, and it hits Kenny so hard, sending him flying into the street, when an unexpected flock of cows come running through, trampling Kenny. But not to death. The kill shot for Kenny was when the cops came and hit him. Imagine dying in the first episode of your series. Number 20. Attacked by mutant turkeys.
Oh, children!
The boys consider Chef as their friend, and definitely as their protector in this season 1 episode when they are faced with mutant turkeys. But not even Chef could save Kenny. when the turkeys caught up to him, plucking him to death. They even plucked out one of Kenny's eyeballs in the process. Sheesh.
Oh my god! They've killed Kenny! You bastards!
Number 19, shot by the police. Well, this season 4 episode didn't age well, considering all the controversies surrounding the cops in today's ages, and now to when they killed poor old Kenny. While Kenny and his mom were hiding in the closet, the cops decided to bust into their house, and then they found their hiding spot. He then asked her to hand him Kenny before he shoots him. But he accidentally shoots Kenny anyway over 9 times before finishing his sentence. And then he followed it by a oops. Like what?
Hand over the boy, now!
Okay.
I need it, lady. You've got about... Whoops.
Number 18, he was murdered by Loogie's gang.
It's not gonna do it, boss.
Well then, throw him in.
Alright, kid. Time to die.
When Loogie finds out that Cartman goes under him to form his own tooth business to make more money, he is furious. So furious, he sends out his gang to murder Kenny. When Kenny fails to comply, he has Kenny thrown into a lake with bricks tied to his feet. Although Kenny survived the initial toss in there, over time he tries to move and ends up falling in a deep spot and drowning. Number 17, electrocuted by plugs.
Some other way. He's going to make the connection himself with his hands.
No, he'll die! Go, Kenny!
No
Kenny.
power, no luck, huh? That must be the wave for Team B, or maybe just Kenny. Kenny saves the day and gets them all back power to save Mephisto, but unfortunately, he lost his life in the process after being electrocuted to death while plugging the cables together, using his own body as the connection. Talk about a sacrifice.
Kenny! No!
Oh my god! They've killed Kenny! You!
Number 16, sword through his skull. After some Iraqi men enter the classroom to arrest their teacher, Miss Ellen, after it's revealed she's a wanted fugitive. She then takes one of the swords and fights with them. But then this goes left, as one of the swords flies out of their hands and lands directly in Kenny's forehead, stabbing him so hard he lands stuck into the wall.
Oh my god! She killed Kenny! You!
Number 15, impaled on the flagpole. Mr. Garrison had big issues with Kathy Lee because she upstaged him, to the point where he tries to assassinate her. But as his bullet went flying, the stage collapsed due to Cartman's heavy weight, sending her flying in her protective shield and aligning the bullet directly with Kenny. The bullet hit Kenny so hard that he goes flying into a flagpole. His body then lands on the flagpole and slides down the pole, which makes this especially gruesome.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny!
Number 14, Kyle kills Kenny. What makes this episode different than the others is this is the first one that features Kenny dying not once, but twice. Kyle was put in a hard place when he had to kill Kenny in order for all the zombies to return normal. Once he did this, he acknowledged his horrible mistake with his famous catchphrase,
Oh my god! I killed Kenny! You bastard!
But then later, Kenny rises from the dead, stitched together, when out of nowhere, a tombstone falls on Kenny, killing him a second time. And not just that, to add some extra razzle-dazzle to it, a jet also crashes into him for extra kill points. Number 13, SWAT drags Kenny to death.
I want you to relay back to me with this walkie-talkie, and then I'll tell you which wires to cross. Ready?
After Timmy's drove through the classroom wall and couldn't move or a bomb would explode, the SWAT then sends Kenny as an attempt to disarm the bomb. That plan fails terribly, and Kenny is actually dragged to death. This Kenny death is really gruesome, as you can see his brains being smushed as well. Stan then jokes about it, saying,
Well, who didn't see that coming?
is he also aware of Kenny's multiple fates at this point? Not to mention, this scene is a reference from the movie Speed.
Well, who didn't see that coming?
Number 12. Kenny eats acid tablets.
Did I guess? Do you think they should change the flag?
Oh, I don't know.
Kenny ate all the mints, Dad.
Oh, those weren't mints. Those were antacid tablets.
Do you ever come in and just want a quick little snack? Well, that's what happened to Kenny when him and the gang went to his dad's office to do research.
Yeah, you must be thirsty after eating 60 mints.
Hey,
Thinking
boys.
they were mints. He then goes for a drink and starts to blow up and burst, killing him. Afterwards, they all laughed at this, with Cartman even saying, "This is a good one."
That was a good one.
A good what, Cartman? A good death? Wow. Number 11. Kenny caught in crossfires. Hey, one thing about Kenny, he's gonna get caught in some crossfires. In this episode, the boys head over to the girls' safety place, telling them to surrender. But BB had other plans. She then throws a boomerang knife at Clyde, when he then ducks, and the boomerang lands directly in Kenny's head, splitting his skull and killing him. After that hit, I don't blame Kyle for initiating a war between them.
Pretty good. We'll never walk away! Never!
Number 10. Killed by a stray bullet. This one hits home, as this is the reality for some people who lost a loved one. In this episode, Wendy and BB are wrestling with a gun, then boom, the gun goes off. As the girls feel around to see who was hit, innocent Kenny, just at home about to eat with his family, is struck with a fatal bullet in the back of his head, as his family devastatingly looks around shocked. Number 9. Dies from syphilis.
Guy Fridays.
Can you believe before this, Kenny hasn't died since season 11? Fast forward to season 13, and his downfall was a girl. After his new girlfriend Tammy performs oral sex on him, he contacts syphilis. He then dies from it, and at his funeral, Cartman continues with his talks that girls' mouths are the dirtiest places on earth.
I told him. Woman's mouth is the most germ-ridden place on earth, I said. Statistically, the most unsafe place for a man to put his penis, I said.
Number 8. Kenny stabbed with a pin.
Tell our parents on you.
Sorry, kids. It's a little late for that.
Anything that happens back in the alley isn't for the best interest, and Kenny and the Coon are no different. In this episode, after the cult leader successfully took Kindergoff's switchblade, he then stabs Kenny in the heart with a pin, leaving him for dead and leaving his friends helpless. Lucky for Kenny, he woke back up in the next episode unharmed and ready to die again. Number 7. Kenny kills himself multiple times.
Like to be stabbed, to be shot, decapitated, torn apart, burned, run over?
Kenny, calm down.
It's not pretty cool, Kyle. It fucking hurts.
As I said in number 8, Kenny woke up unharmed, but that did not stop him from dying, as he kills himself numerous times throughout this episode. Rather it was shooting himself in the head or jumping into swords.
Ow! That fucking hurts! Ah!
Kenny also acknowledged all of his past deaths as well, and Kyle topped it off with saying,
God, Kenny, you crazy bastard!
instead of his normal catchphrase. Number 6. Kenny gets ate by a bird. Imagine such an attack on your first day back at school. Just as Kenny and Cartman return home and back to school, an enormous crazed bird rips the roof off looking for food. The bird then grabs yours truly, Kenny's hoodie, banging him from wall to wall as his body rips and squirts blood everywhere. After this vicious attack, Cartman lets out tears. No. Not because of Kenny's 1,000th death, but because he is the poorest kid in school once again.
What the fuck? My mama's so poor she walks down the road with one shoe.
Number 5. Kenny becomes headless. Kyle and Stan were on a mission and messing around with gadgets just to see how they would affect Kenny. Kenny ends up stuck in a trance and couldn't hear Stan calling his name, All of this while Stan's putting the hypnotization gadget to its highest setting and blowing Kenny's brains up to tiny pieces in the process.
Oh my god! We've killed Kenny! We're back!
Number 4. Kenny killed by a sled. After Stan and Kyla jumps off a moving sled, Kenny is once again left for dead as he goes flying into a tree and then crushed by an object.
Bail! Bail!
Oh my god, we killed Kenny.
We killed Kenny?
Kill Kenny, we're bastard.
Number 3. Kenny is choked to death. While Strazen is dragging the city of South Park down to filth, Kenny's head seems to be elsewhere as he tries to play with the tether ball that then starts to wrap around him, pulling him up and strangling him to death.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You!
Number 2. Did you know Kenny was a sex addict? Yes, he was diagnosed. But who knew that would cost him his life after he decides to try this one forbidden move?
Around your neck while masturbating dressed up like Batman or something, then you pass out from lack of air and apparently it makes your orgasm super awesome.
Kenny was found dead by his mother in a Batman costume due to autoerotic asphyxiation for a better orgasm. Imagine the horrors of his mom's face while finding him like this. Or maybe she's used to this type of stuff by now. Number 1. Kenny's terminal illness.
Play guitar and she should go fuck herself. Should I come in now?
Not quite yet.
For once, they gave Kenny a proper death. This death actually lasted quite a few seasons and is said to be the only real Kenny death. In this episode, Kenny got sick with a terminal illness, which we know now is muscular
I'll come
dystrophy.
see you real soon, I bet, Kenny.
Hey, look who's here.
Hello, Kenny.
Ha. Kenny McCormick, the poor boy from South Park who dies more often than the Game of Thrones character. If there's one thing that can be said about Kenny, it's that he knows how to die in style. But beyond the gags and gore, Kenny McCormick is an essential character in the South Park universe, and his importance cannot be overlooked.